are flights that save lives.
Oh, we're taking two.
But the owners of air ambulance and other charter, flight training, and volunteer operations that fly out of smaller local airports are worried they could soon be grounded permanently by a proposal some say is aimed at privatizing America's aviation system. Like everything in Washington, it has a big name. The Next Generation Air Transportation System Finance Reform Act of 2007. Some say the idea favors big business, the airlines. But the Bush administration, through FAA Administrator Marion Blakey, says it's the best way to upgrade America's air traffic control system.
What we're talking about here is technology that's going to change the way we fly. And that is major. It's at the core of our next generation system.
For the last 40 years, this country's aviation system, the safest in the world, has been like the highway system, in large part federally funded. Aviation subsidized by taxes on fuel, cargo, and airline tickets, but that funding bill runs out in September. It either has to be renewed by Congress or replaced. Phil Boyer heads up the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association.
What the FAA proposes is to go to a user fee scenario, one in which the operators of airplanes would pay by some formula that they aren't even disclosing at this time, that would be up to the administrator, that taxed you on the weight of the airplane, the distance traveled, the airports used.
It's a plan that would save the airlines a little money, but Boyer says it would not likely be passed on to consumers. What it would do is boost the current fuel tax some 366%, from 19.4 cents to 70.1 cents a gallon. And that's a huge amount for smaller general aviation operators like StatCare.
We calculate that the aircraft we operate 3 24-hour medical helicopters, would cost us about $42,000 a year.
And that's just the added fuel tax. The proposal also calls for the formation of an independent board, but many argue it'd largely be controlled by the airlines that could raise taxes and fees at the FAA administrator's request without congressional oversight.
But at the end of the day, what we've really got to focus on is what our air traffic control system needs are and what takes us into the next quarter century. And our system today won't do that. And that's the big recognition everybody has. Now it's just how do you pay to get to where we need to be to maintain our leadership position.
Probably put me out of business.
Bill Kramer is just one of hundreds of business owners and private pilots across the country who use their planes to reach their customers. He's a hospital consultant who even rents office space at Clark Regional Airport in southern Indiana. He has clients in 4 states, and he says tacking on fees for each landing and air traffic control service would make his 2 or 3 trips a week just too expensive. And he says the airlines aren't a viable alternative.
All my hospitals are small rural hospitals. They have airports. Most of them just single strips, that sort of thing, and not many airliners go in. I don't have a hospital that's served by an airline.
This is all about control. The control that the airlines would like to exercise on the system, to have their own way, to have their own preferential routes, and control that the FAA would like to have, to get away from having to listen to elected officials as to where airports should go, where airports should be constructed.
Bill Kramer? Well, he just wants his cost to stay under control, something he says is critical if his business and airports like Bowman Field and Clark County are to survive.
The Indiana Department of Economic Development calculated for 2005 that this airport contributed $35 million to the local economy. Well, if all this dried up, the $35 million would dry up too. So it's a really significant issue.